Hey guys, we are back with some more New Jersey Devils franchise mode. And in this one, we are in the offseason. We did not make the playoffs last year as we had a very rough start that ultimately cost us in the end. And the first thing that we're going to do in this offseason is extend a few players who I know I want back for next season. And it's these four on the top: Hall, Bajin, Bellows, and Lundell. So obviously, Hall, he's 34 years of age, but he's still a tremendous player. 90 overall, 41 goals last year. We definitely have to bring him back. We're still looking to contend. This isn't a rebuilder team yet, but it's definitely, we needed a retool over the offseason and during the trade deadline as of last season. So that is where we're going with this. We still want to be competitive, so we're still going to have Taylor Hall on the team. And since we are not yet at the point where we need to seriously negotiate with him, we can start out at a $7.3 million offer for 2 years. Hopefully he accepts that. Guy Bajin, coming off of his entry-level deal, he wants 3.6 for 1 year. If we take him up to 2 years, he actually wants a little less. 3 years, he wants 4 mil, then 4.2, 4.5. So that's a pretty reasonable amount for Guy Bajin. When you take a look at his point totals from last year, he had 46 points, definitely a career high, and he is, more than anything, a defensive beast. He also hits, so I think, honestly, Guy Bajin would be worth offering a 5-year deal to. Obviously, he doesn't want the 5-year deal, so we're going to have to take him up a little bit more in salary, but that's all right, because if we get him on this contract, he will be worth every single penny of that $4.3 million. Now, Kiefer Bellows, he is signed for cheap currently, and he didn't do too well offensively, but what he does bring that we did desperately need in the bottom six last year was physicality. I want to bring him back so that he can be on a fourth line again and bring some more physicality. So we will sign him to a $2.5 million deal for 1 year. And Anton Lundell, he is 24 years of age. He's pretty much reached his peak when it comes to offense. He had 40 points last year, which was a surprise, honestly. I thought he would peak out around 30 this year. Pretty good on faceoffs. He's not all that physical, but he's great defensively. So I would say he's worth re-signing. He had 5 short-handed points last year as well. So yeah, he's worth re-signing, but not for too much and not for too much term. So giving him a 2-year offer here would take him to UFA. I want to give him, I would say he's worth giving a 3-year contract to. So I'll give him 2.9 for 3 years. And that is about it. Those are the only guys who I want to extend for right now. So we will back out, and once they sign, we will get on with the offseason. And there's Taylor Hall. He has re-signed for another 2 years with us. Kiefer Bellows is also back. Lundell's back, and Guy Bajin is back. So I guess one thing we can do is follow the Binghamton Devils, because they look like they are about to go into the playoffs here as they lose their final game of the season. But nonetheless, looks like a pretty good team down there in Binghamton. So a couple of things that we do need going into the offseason. I said this in the last one, but we need a physical bottom six guy, preferably 2 of them. And we also need an offensive defenseman. And another thing to note, we have the 11th best odds at the first overall pick. Obviously, I'm not going to get my hopes up too much because it's not too great of a chance. I think it's only 3% or something like that. But still, we have Taylor Hall on our team, so it very well may happen. And unfortunately, it looks like Binghamton, they were not swept. But what will happen here in game number 4, that will be an overtime loss. So even Binghamton, when they have a good season, they're out in the first round. So yeah, that's not good. And the playoffs are complete, and the Stanley Cup champions are the Toronto Maple Leafs, and the Calder Cup champions are the Belleville Senators. So we reviewed the awards, and the Stanley Cup obviously goes to the Toronto Maple Leafs. The President's Trophy goes to Pittsburgh, and it was Calgary versus Toronto in the final, so an all-Canadian final. As Jack Eichel gets the Art Ross, the Hart goes to Ranta, the Norris goes to Barrie, the Lady Byng goes to Capo Caco, the Calder goes to Lampman of Columbus. The Conn Smythe goes to Jamie Benn on Toronto. The Vezina goes to Demko on Toronto as well. He also wins the Jennings. Masterton goes to Turkov on Minnesota. The Jack Adams goes to Watson on Buffalo. Frank J. Selke goes to Barkov on Florida. The Ted Lindsay goes to Ranta. And the Maurice Richard Cole Caulfield for a 3rd year in a row. All right, come on, hockey gods. Give me a top 3 pick. We stay at number 12. So Washington, Detroit, Minnesota, Boston, Nashville, the Islanders, Florida, Anaheim, Arizona, Vegas, St. Louis, New Jersey, LA, Montreal, and Philadelphia. That's rough. I was hoping for some Taylor Hall magic once again, but that doesn't appear to be the case. I really wanted this guy here, Michael Rositis. He is going 4th overall, supposedly. He's NHL ready, like Marc-Edouard Vlasic. He's got that medium elite potential. We really need a two-way defenseman. An elite two-way defenseman. We have plenty of top 4 defensemen, but we need that. We need that medium elite. So retired players, Crosby retires with 1,800 points, and he retired on the Vancouver Canucks. Patrick Kane also retires. Phil Kessel, Blake Wheeler, Brad Marchand, Logan Couture, TJ Oshie, Jordan Eberle, Jordan Stahl, Nick Foligno, Craig Smith, Wayne Simmons, Andre Palat, Milan Lucic, Derek Brassard, Matthew Perreault, Tyler Myers, Riley Nash, Kelly Yarncrow, Travis Hamonic, Matt Calvert, Zach Kassian, Antoine Roussel, Marcus Foligno, Colton Sevier, and Brandon Tanev are all retiring. And for goaltenders, wow, Bobrovsky, Craig Anderson. Oh my goodness, Craig Anderson, 45 years of age. You got to be kidding me. Wow, he wanted to stay around for a long time. He says 70 overall. Has he played it all? He has not played in the NHL since, what is that, year number 3? Yeah. Jeez. Wow, he was inactive for a long time. Then there's Jake Allen as well, James Reimer, Mike Condon, Michael Hutchinson, Koskinen, Nielsen, and the following players are now coaches. Blake Wheeler is a coach for the Buffalo Sabres, and Phil Kessel is a coach for the San Jose Sharks. Now, did any of our coaches retire? Binghamton Devils, Helena Holton retired. Okay, now New Jersey. I don't see New Jersey anywhere, so I believe that Holton is the only one who retired for our organization. And the draft interviews, we have Brian Rome, but we already have him basically completely scouted. I mean, the only thing that I could even think to maybe scout him out is his personality, but his personality is fully scouted. So I don't think we have to interview him, because if he's available at that point and he's the best guy available, we'll probably take him. And he's got a top 4 defenseman potential. But again, it's the same situation that we've had with like Caden Lankow and Andre Frolov, I believe his name is, who we traded for in the last one. So we really need that medium elite defenseman. So we will interview Philip Ballastic here. We're going to see if we could get a little bit of information on him. So Ballastic, he is ranked 15th overall. He is a defensive defenseman who is fast, and he is 2 years away from the NHL. So now we're going to interview Josh Froats. He is a right winger from the Erie Otters. He is a two-way forward. His strength is skating, and he is 4 years away from the NHL. And lastly, we are going to interview Stefan Lamoureux from the Cape Breton Eagles. He is a defensive defenseman. His strength is skating, and he is 4 years away from the NHL. So we are here at the draft, and it doesn't appear as though any of the top 5 pickers want to trade their pick. That makes sense. Florida wants to trade their number 7, so if that defenseman is still there by number 7, I highly doubt it, but if he happens to still be there by number 7, he's dropped down to number 5, so maybe, but probably not. If he is there by number 7, we are definitely going to have to try to trade for that pick, because we desperately need an NHL-ready prospect elite defenseman. So we are going to sim this pick from the Washington Capitals, and they will take Jay Schrader, Jonas Schrader. He looks like a stud. He had 74 assists last season, and he is taken 1st overall. He's already an 83 overall. That's insane. Detroit will take Siegel. Minnesota will take Beauregard, a 78 overall center. Boston will take Bergeron. Another Bergeron goes to Boston. And Nashville, I have a feeling they're going to take Rositis. I mean, they could go with a forward route. They could take Donnelly. But if they're taking a defenseman, they're definitely taking Rositis there. So we'll see what happens. You know what? I mean, would they be willing to give up their first for anything? I mean, not Hughes, not Heischer. Bratt got a huge boost. I mean, I'm not sure why, considering he actually had a down year last year, but okay. Lundell, Slavin, Lundell actually got a boost too, 84 overall. I mean, I'd be willing to shell out a goaltender. But, alright, you know what? Instead of trying to offer them a trade, let's see what they want if they were to trade that 5th overall pick. So we'll go to the trade finder, and we will ask Nashville what they would want for their 1st round pick. And do they want anything? They will want Karlsson, our first, a second, a third, and Perreault. I can do that. I think I can do that. Considering Perreault is a medium top six, a low top six potential defenseman, we could definitely give him up. I don't have a problem giving up a third for next year. Same thing for a second. And our first for this year, if we can just move that up to number 5, we can get ourselves a medium elite defenseman. And Karlsson, he is not the best goaltender prospect we have, because we have, keep in mind, we have that high elite prospect in Parks, who's a 71 overall. And look at that, Caleb Wingels is an 82 overall now. And the offseason jump hasn't happened yet. This is definitely a package that I can live with giving up, considering we don't really need any of it. And we need a medium elite potential defenseman. And they were the ones who came up with this trade. I did not come up with this trade. They offered it to me. And you know what? I'll take it. Proposed trade, that is accepted. So let's go. We now have the 5th overall pick. It took a little desperation for sure. For any other circumstances, that would have been a fleecing by Nashville. But you know what? A medium elite prospect defenseman is the one thing we really, really need. So Mikhail Rosaitis, I'm not even going to hesitate in making this pick. Welcome to the New Jersey Devils. He's a 76 overall, so he's not really ready right now, but it did say he was NHL ready on his scouting report. So maybe if we give him limited minutes, maybe some power play time as well. He's a two-way defender. But you know what? We cannot afford to mess up with Mikhail Rosaitis, so let me know what we should do with this guy going into next season. Should we play him in the AHL? Should we let him stay in Europe? Or should we bring him to the NHL if possible? So with that all out of the way, we will send to our next pick. And I'm glad that we made that trade. I'm glad we asked Nashville, hey, what do you want for your pick? And they gave us a boatload of things to send their way. And you know what? I was all right with it because we desperately needed that medium elite prospect defenseman, and we got him. So the guy who stands out here for me is Emmanuel Leclerc. He's a low elite potential, and he's only 2 years away from the NHL according to his scouting ETA. So he may actually, depending on how he grows, because sometimes low elites can grow very, very quickly, he may be NHL ready sooner than we think. So I will be taking Emmanuel Leclerc with this pick. Welcome to the New Jersey Devils. 68 overall, low elite. And now another second round pick. There's Kapitanov. There is Darren Corey. We don't have anything on him though. Kapitanov is a medium top 6, 4 years away from the NHL. Ooh, Clarence Boyd. Well, he's a goaltender. I got excited there for a second. I saw the medium elite, but then I saw the goaltender and realized, those are pretty common. And I mean, I know he's supposed to go soon, but we don't really have a need for one. I would rather take a skater at this point, I know they go for a lot of value, but, let a computer team take a medium elite goaltender for once. Because it seems like the computer teams genuinely struggle with taking medium elite goaltenders specifically. Because I went through the teams like a couple of years ago in the sim. I went through, and it seemed like only 5 teams had medium elite goaltenders. So I think here we are going to take Vladimir Kapitanov. Welcome to the New Jersey Devils. He is a 60 overall, medium top 6 forward. And another second round pick, so we obviously missed out on that goaltender, but I am okay with that because we have more than enough goaltenders. We have that high elite goaltender. We have our young goaltender in Caleb Wingels. So I think with this pick, we'll just take our scout recommendation. We'll just go with Landon Warner here. Welcome to the New Jersey Devils. He is, we don't know, because the fog of war. So here we are going to take a medium top 4 defenseman in Zachary Blair. He's a two-way defender, and he is 5 years away, but still, it's a good potential, so we'll take him. 48 overall, that is what I expected. With our 84th overall pick, we will take Ronnie Collins. He's a 59 overall, 2-bar medium elite center. With this pick, we will take Quentin Richter. He is a 61 overall. With this pick, we will take Joel Cones. He's a 59 overall, 2-bar low elite defensive defenseman. And here we will take an offensive defenseman, Guy Botin. He is a 64 overall and 2-bar low top 6. So we'll see what that potential actually is at some point, but not right now. And one final pick, we will take this guy, Stefan Nobles. I was scouting him quite a bit this year. and for some reason his potential never fully got scouted. So we'll make his pick anyway. Welcome to the New Jersey Devils. He is a grinder, 48 overall, a 2-bar medium elite, so we don't know for sure, but he is nonetheless the last pick of our draft for this year, and the draft is complete. Welcome to the New Jersey Devils. Rosidis, Leclerc, Kapitanov, Warner, Blair, Collins, Richter, Cones, Boughton, and Nobles. So for RFAs, we have Karpinen, and UFA goaltenders, we have Fitzpatrick and Grubauer. Fitzpatrick does not want to resign, understandable, because Caleb Wingels is an 82 overall as of right now, so we will release Fitzpatrick. Grubauer, I'm not sure if I want to sign yet. RFAs, we will sign Karpinen. Defensemen, you have Vukojevic, and then Pesci, Hayek, Lankow, Zykov, and Rita. We will release Hayek. We will sign Lankow, as well as Zykov. We don't need Rita. He has a 7th defenseman potential. And as for Pesci, how much does Pesci want? Because he wasn't great last year. That's 2.75. I'll release him to free agency for right now, see what's out there. Now, Vukojevic, he wanted a lot last time, and oh, man, he wants even more now. $5 million for 5 years for Michael Vukojevic. I don't know if that's happening there, Vooks. I don't know if that's happening. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. That's a little steep for Michael Vukojevic. And for UFA forwards, you have Gurianov, Studenic, Wilson, Pakula, Martikainen, Plus, and Skuen. So I think here we're going to release Wilson for sure. We'll release Pakula. We got to start developing some of our young guns down there in the AHL, so got to make space for them. We'll release Skuen. Don't need him. Don't need Plus either. Any guy who's 20 who is not in their 70s yet, I generally like to release unless they have a good potential. Martikainen, he's 19, 65 overall, bottom 6 forward. Nah. Gurianov, how much does he want? He wants 2.1. No thanks. I'll just release him. And Studenic, yeah, we'll sign you. Then Solani and Jacobson. I don't think we need Jacobson because we got him as a throw-in piece to one of the trades we made last year. He had 9 points in 21 games for Binghamton as a right winger. Oh, I mean, we could have used him as depth. You know what? Nah, we don't need him. Tero Solani, we will sign. There you go. So we have almost everybody signed besides Vukojevic. And for UFAs, we have, I believe, everybody besides Grubauer. So not too many big contracts this offseason, mostly because we offloaded most of them during the trade deadline. Paul Mary, Gusev, Falk as well. They were all making a lot of money. So going into this free agency with a clean slate, it looks like. So we'll be able to see what's out there and make any necessary changes. So we also have to renew our coaches and a few scouts. So here's the thing about our coaches. None of them have good chemistry with Patrick Marleau. Now, I would love to know, EA, why they don't have good chemistry with Patrick Marleau. It's not really clear anywhere as to why they don't have good chemistry with Patrick Marleau. Because there's not really anything in common between all the coaches that don't like Patrick, or not that they don't like him, but they don't have good chemistry with him. Because Pietrangelo, he is good at teaching forwards like Patrick Marleau, but he still doesn't have good chemistry with him. Rene Vigier, he's a generalist, and he doesn't have good chemistry with him. And Drouin Delorier also does not have good chemistry with him, and he's a goalie coach. So I have no idea what's going on there. Maybe you guys can let me know. I have no idea how coach chemistry is even determined. But for right now, we will sign Pietrangelo and Drouin Delorier to some contracts. Now, Pietrangelo wants to be a head coach. I'm going to say no to that. I will give you the assistant coach role again, though. And Drouin Delorier also wants to be the head coach. I will give you NHL goalie coach duties, and you can have $750K or around $750K. And we also need an AHL goalie coach, which I guess we will find on July 1st. So advancing a day here, we're going to see who signs. Obviously, we haven't approached Vukojevic or Grubauer yet, but Lankow signs, Studenic, Zykov, all those guys, and I don't think I saw any coaches or scouts. So yeah, UFAs, all that's left is Grubauer, and for RFAs is Vukojevic. So I think I want to tender Vukojevic because $5 million, that's just, oh man, that's so much. That's so much for a defensive defenseman who's probably going to be playing top 6, you know? And he's really not the greatest. He's a solid defensive defenseman when he plays on the top 6 in the penalty kill, but, you know, if he's being paid $5 million, like, I kind of want those kinds of players playing top 4 minutes, at least for defensemen, and I don't know if I want to give Vukovic top 4 minutes. So I think we're going to tender him on the last day of the re-sign stage. As for Grubauer, I think it would be beneficial to sign him for 1 year, considering that, number one, we have the cap space. Number two, we don't know how much Caleb Wingels is going to grow, and he also didn't have a great start to his NHL career. In 8 games played last year, he had an .881 save percentage. So we will sign Grubauer for 1 more year, and we will try to take him down to 4.5 for 1 year. And Pietrangelo, Andrew, and Delorier are not going to be re-signing with us, and Grubauer is also not re-signing apparently. So it looks like we're going to have to offer Grubauer more money. We'll give him 4.6 for 1 year, and it looks like we're going to be finding a new assistant coach and a new goalie coach. So, we'll just leave those guys be. They can go find jobs elsewhere, and we'll see if Grubauer accepts our latest offer, and more money may change his mind. So he doesn't think that this team has what it takes to win right now. So even though, that's interesting, even though we're hopeful, he sees us as more of a rebuilder for whatever reason. I mean, it may be that we just had a pretty bad season, by our standards anyway, but still, we have a playoff caliber roster. We have Hall, Hughes, Hischier, Bratt, Beijing, Fabro, Slavin, Boqvist. Defense, you got Severson as well. This is a really good team. I don't know why I guess I understand partially why he thought we wouldn't be in a position to compete after last year, but still, this roster is fully capable of a bounce back season. So as we simulate 1 more day, wow. All right, Grubauer, 1 more offer. If you don't accept this, then we'll have to just release you. I'll give you $5 million for 1 year. And there it is. So now we are going to tender offer Michael Vukovic, and now we will go into July 1st. Last year was the year to get McAvoy, because now the best defenseman in free agency is currently Jacob Trouba. He wants $6.1 million. He's not bad, but, we need that elite defenseman, man. There's plenty of forwards. There's Besser, there's Dubois, there is Glass, there's Wallstrom, McLeod, Dahlin. So McLeod actually grew. Michael McLeod. Good to it. 87 overall. Good for him. So I didn't think he was going to grow. He didn't ever really put up the points there up until a couple of years ago. But hey, he made it to the NHL, so good for him. There's Jonathan Dahlin, there's Bjorkstrand, there's Gusev, who's back in free agency, and he only wants $5.6 million. So maybe, do we consider going back after Gusev? I don't think so. Because remember, we need more physical forwards. And I already have our top 9 made out. As it currently stands, we have Boqvist, Hughes, and Hall on the first line, Beijing, Hischier, Bratt on the second line, Bykov, Lundell, and Prospel on the third, and then Bellows, ? So I'm really looking for more third and fourth liners than Gusev at this point. As much as I like Gusev, I don't think he fits on this team anymore. So the first guy who we're going to go after here is Tyler Benson. He played for Colorado last year. He had 37 points, 2 years back-to-back. And the part that I like about him, that good old takeaway to giveaway ratio, 71 to 37 last year and 80 hits. And he did that in 12:54 of ice time. So that's how you know you got a pretty good depth player there. I definitely want to sign him. I'll give him 2 years at 2.7. You know what? It may not be a bad idea to bring back Pavel Zacha. We let him walk to free agency last year. It looks like he was with Carolina. He got 35 points. So he had, looks like a simulation high in points, but he went to free agency once again. He historically is pretty physical. $2.2 million for 1 year for Pavel Zacha. Let's see if we can bring him back. Another guy I'm looking at here is Darnell Nurse. He has an 83 overall, left-handed defenseman, 6'4". And what I really like about Nurse is not only his physicality, however, his takeaway to giveaway ratio. His giveaways only around 60 per season, and it generally stays around a 2-to-1 giveaway to takeaway ratio, which I really like in a defenseman, and he keeps his giveaway totals down as well. So that makes him a much better candidate to be on the top 4 than someone like Michael Vukovic. So I'm all right with giving, even I'd go up to 5.7 for Nurse for, not for 4 years though, I'll give him 2. And because we're taking him down to 2 years, I'll give him an extra $50,000. So $5.75 million for Darnell Nurse for 2 years. Offer him that. Now what I want to do, I want to attempt to find a elite defenseman that is on the block. So I will go through the block myself, and if I come across anyone who I am interested in, I will let you guys know. So someone who has caught my interest here, Matt Dumba on Minnesota. If I'm not mistaken, Minnesota is really bad in this simulation, because if we go and take a look at Blackwood, I believe is still their goaltender. It's an 82 overall. Yeah, he had 26 wins last year in 73 games played. Yeah, it's no wonder that Matt Dumba is on the block. He's 31 years of age, and he has a pretty decent contract as well. 3 years for $6.76 million. It says he's an 85 overall, but that could be his morale due to the fact that his team is really bad. So maybe if we trade for him, he might end up boosting an overall. He might be an 87, 88. You never know. So I think Dumba is definitely worth going after. I'm just not sure what we would trade to get him yet. But that being said, if we want him enough, we'll find a way to get him. There's also Erik Karlsson, 89 overall, 36 years of age, on the final year of his deal. So you know what? We're talking offensive defenseman. Here you go. He still puts up some really good numbers. He had almost 60 points last season, and he's 36 years of age. I don't know how far he's going to drop off is my only problem. But even so, that may not be a bad thing to trade for, especially while we're waiting for Mikhail Rosidis if we choose not to play him in the NHL this year, which is more than likely, given his overall at a 76. And his trade value isn't even that much either. It's only about halfway. And for an 89 overall, obviously he's old, but you know what? If we're looking to make a short-term run, Erik Karlsson may not be a bad idea. And those are the only notable defensemen that are on the block. You have Matt Dumba, and you have Erik Karlsson. So is there a possibility that we could get both? Maybe, if we sell the farm. I don't want to give up too much of our future here. So obviously, Hughes and Hischier, untouchable. Bratt, I would definitely prefer not to trade. Bajan would prefer not to trade. Boquist would prefer not to trade. I would prefer not to trade the majority of our forwards, really. Not trading Rosidis at all. Under no circumstances are we doing that. I'm not giving them Parks. I like that high elite. I want to see what he turns into. Do need to unload Vukojevic, so he could be a piece going one way. I think if we're getting Dumba and or Karlsson, really, I think Severson could be an expendable piece, considering that he has that top 6 deep potential now. He's going to start regressing pretty quickly. So I think maybe, if the trade calls for it, Severson could be expendable, especially given his contract. He has 2 more years at $4.6 million. Now, he is a very good defenseman right now, but in a couple of years, he's probably going to be like an 81 overall. So another guy who I think is on the block to trade would be Pushkarev. He's a 76 overall, 22 years of age. He hasn't grown at all as of late. So I think we can put him in this deal. We will also put Vukojevic on. So could we get Dumba for Vukojevic and Pushkarev alone? Probably not. The value is not there at all. And we're going to have to give up a draft pick here because that's really the only other thing that I'm willing to give up. I'll give up a third for this year. We could also include a prospect here in Brewer. I think that would go through. Vukojevic, Pushkarev, and a third for Karlsson. Now, if we're getting Karlsson's contract, that doesn't leave a whole lot of room for Dumba. Oh, man. Yeah, that's not going to work. Because we still have to see how much money we have left over after all of our free agents. Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to make these trades now. I think we are going to first see if our free agents sign, and then we'll make a decision from there. So remember, the guys who we approached, Nurse, Benson, Zacha. So it's not too much salary that we offered. The most salary that we offered is to Nurse, but that's still roughly, I'm going to say 9 million, possibly 10 million, and that leaves us only with 7.4 in cap space. So if we're getting Karlsson and Dumba, we're going to have to unload a lot of salary. So I think it's one or the other. It's got to be one or the other. But first, we will see who we get out of free agency. And there's Darnell Nurse. And Zacha is back in New Jersey. And Tyler Benson has joined us as well. So now we are down to 9.1 in cap space. So we could still definitely trade for Dumba. If we traded for Karlsson, we would need San Jose to retain some cap. Then again, if we send Severson the other way in the Minnesota deal, that's freeing up 4.6, which would only mean we're taking on roughly $2 million in salary, given that Dumba is at a 6.7, I believe I saw. So I think we're going to try to find trade function with both Karlsson and with Dumba, and we'll weigh our options, and I think I'll end it off after that, because we got a huge decision to make here. Do we want Dumba? Do we want Karlsson? Do we want neither? So for Dumba, the Minnesota Wild would want Parks, our high elite goaltender, a first for this year and a second for next year, or Rositis, who we are not under any circumstances giving up, so I'm going to decline that right away, but that is who Minnesota would want for Dumba. Now, as for Karlsson, San Jose would only want Beijing for Karlsson. I'm not giving up Beijing. Boquist, not giving up Boquist. Lankow, a first, and Benson, probably not happening. Frolov, a first, and Benson, again, probably not happening. Bellows, a first and a second. I would be willing to part ways with Bellows, considering he'll be playing on our fourth line. But yeah, it's going to be, no matter who we trade for, whether it's Karlsson or Dumba, it's going to be quite a bit going the other way. But I feel like we really need one of those top defensemen, whether it's Karlsson, whether it's Dumba. It's got to happen at some point, you know. We are still a contender, so we need to make one of those happen. So I think we will end things off here, but before we do, we will go over the roster one more time. We have Grubauer and Wingels on defense. You have Fabro, Slavin, Severson, Nurse, and potentially Frolov and Lankow. So you have to take that into consideration as well. Are Frolov and Lankow going to be ready? Then for forwards, you have Hall, Hughes, Heischer, Bratt, Beijing, Boquist, Bellows, Lundell, Prospel, Bykov, Benson, Zaka, Clark as an extra, Zetterlund as an extra as well. And that'll be just about it for this one. And the next one, we will finish up the Year 7 offseason and make our way into Year number 8. See you guys then.